flock of flies. By Brad Meltzer. This is one of my favorite books. Brad Meltzer is a fantastic author. I think you guys will enjoy this, so we're going to dive right in. The Book of Lies. In chapter 4 of the Bible, Cain kills Abel. It is the world's most famous murder. But the Bible is silent about one key detail: the weapon Cain used to kill his brother. That weapon is still lost to history. In 1932, Michael Siegel was killed by 2 gunshots to the chest. While mourning, his son dreamed of a bulletproof man and created the world's greatest hero, Superman. And like Cain's murder weapon, the gun used in this unsolved murder has never been found. Today, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Cal Harper comes face to face with his own family tragedy. His long-missing father has been shot with a gun that traces back to Mitchell Siegel's 1932 murder. But soon after their surprising reunion, Cal and his father are attacked by a ruthless killer tattooed with the ancient markings of Cain. So begins a chase for the world's first murder weapon. It is a race that will pull Cal back into his own past, even as it propels him forward through the true story of Cain and Abel, an 80-year-old unsolvable puzzle in the deadly organization known for the past century as the Leadership. What does Cain, history's greatest villain, have to do with Superman, the world's greatest hero? And what do 2 murderers committed thousands of years apart have in common? This is the mystery at the heart of Brad Meltzer's riveting and utterly intriguing new thriller. Alright, so let's hop into the first bit here. I think the S in this one, I think that's cool. Starts with a little pre-word here. The story of Cain and Abel takes up just 16 lines of the Bible. It is arguably history's most famous murder. But the story is silent about one key detail: the weapon Cain used to kill his brother. It's not a rock or a sharpened stone. And to this day, the world's first murder weapon is still lost to history. Prologue. 19 years ago, Miami, Florida. When Calvin Harper was 5, his petite 4'11" mom ripped the pillow from his bed at 3 a.m. and told him that dust mites were feeding off his skin. We need to wash it. Now! On that night, his mom seemed to change into someone else, as if she was possessed by some ghost or devil or demon. His dad told Calvin it was one of Mommy's bad days. The doctors had a name for it too: bipolar. When Calvin was 7, his mom called home with a cheery slur in her voice. The demon loved a good drink. To Bradley tell him she had carved Calvin's initials into her arm. When Calvin was 8 and she was in a drunken rage, she took the family dog to the pound and accidentally had him put down. The demon liked laughs. But none of those nights prepared Calvin for this one. Fresh from his bath with his white blonde hair still soaking wet and dangling over the birthmark near his left eye, 9-year-old Calvin sat in his room bearing down on his paper with an orange Crayola while his parents shouted in the kitchen. Tonight the demon was back. "Rosalie, put it down," his father growled. Crash. "Get away from me, Lloyd," his mother howled. Clang. His father grunted. "That's it, you're done," he screamed back. "You're done." Cling, clang, cling. Calvin twisted the doorknob, ran for the kitchen, and froze as he turned the corner. All the kitchen's lower drawers were open and emptied, their contents, pans, pots, lids, scattered across the floor, and the corner of the fridge was open too, and baked just as clean. Jars of ketchup, soda, and spaghetti sauce were still spinning on the floor, and in the center of the kitchen a 6'2" dad was bent forward in pain, as Mom brandished a fat white jar of mayonnaise ready to smash her husband in the head. "Mom," Calvin said in a mother wheeled around off bounds. The jar fell from her grip. Calvin saw it plummet as it hit the floor and exploded. There was a low, thick plump, sending a mushroom cloud of mayo spraying across the floor. Calvin's mother never flinched. "You always root against me," she seethed at her 9-year-old boy with her dark alligator green eyes. "Maniac," his father erupted, who with one brutal shove pummeled his wife squarely in the chest. "Mom!" Calvin shouted. The blow hit her like a baseball bat, sending her stumbling backward. "Mom, look out for that!" Her heel hit the mayonnaise at full speed, and she flipped backward like a seesaw. If Lloyd hadn't been so big or so enraged, if he hadn't blown up with such fierce physical outbursts, he might not have shoved her so hard. But he did. And she fell backward, still looking at Calvin. She had no idea that the back of her neck was headed straight toward the lower kitchen door that was still wide open. Calvin tried to run forward, but he could scarcely lift his arms and legs. In midair, his mother turned toward him, her alligator eyes still burning through him. There was no mistaking her final thought. She wasn't scared or even in pain. She was angry at him. The white, blonde, wet-haired boy who caused her to drop the mayo, and from that day forward, in his 9-year-old mind, the person who caused her to fall. Mom! She was falling. Then the sound was unforgettable. "Rosie!" his father screamed, leaping forward and scooping her head toward his chest. Her arms ragdolled across the mayonnaise-smeared floor. "Calvin, don't you look!" Lloyd cried. The tears were running down his twisted Irish nose. "Close your eyes. Don't you look!" But Calvin looked. He wanted to cry, but nothing came. He wanted to run, but couldn't move. As he stood frozen, a stream of urine ran down his right leg. Most lives crumble over time. Cal Harper's crumbled in one crushing fall. But 19 years later, thanks to a single call on his radio, he began his quest through history and finally have a chance to put his life together. Chapter 1. 19 years later, Hong Kong. "Good girl, such a good girl," Ellis said, down on one knee as his dog snatched the beef treat from his open palm. With a bite and a gulp, the treat was gone, and Ellis Belasco, with his sleek copper-red hair, smiled proudly and added a strong, authoritative pat to the back of his smoky brown pet's head. As the trainer said, attack dogs had to be rewarded. "Please, please, my leg, you chewed my leg," the thin Chinese man whined as he crawled across the worn beige carpet toward the hotel room door. "To be clear, she chewed your Achilles tendon," Ellis said calmly, standing up and brushing back his long European-style haircut. He was always meticulous, to reveal amber eyes framed by striking lush eyebrows that almost merged on the bridge of his nose. Because of his rosy coloring, his cheeks were always flushed, as were his full lips, which he licked as he stared down at a small tattoo between his thumb and pointer finger. And then that is the tattoo. His birth rate was healing nicely. For the past 2 months, Ellis had been tracking the ancient book from collector to collector, from the doctor in China whose death gave it away to Zhao, the shipper who schemed to deliver it elsewhere. Every culture called it by a different name, but Ellis knew the truth. "I know you have it," Ellis said. "I'd like the Book of Lies now." From the corner of the bed, Ellis reached for his small gray pistol. No, you can't. My fiancé, we just got engaged." The young dock worker begged, scrambling on his one good knee as he let their leg left a smear of blood across the carpet. Ellis pressed the barrel of his gun against the man's throat. It was vital he hit the jugular, but he knew he would. That was the advantage of having God on your side. "I paid what you asked me, Sal," Ellis said calmly, "but it makes me sad that someone else clearly paid you more." "I swear, the book, I told you where it's going," Sal screamed, his eyes rolling slightly and his eyes blinked open. What was that? He stuttered as a drop of blood bubbled from his neck. The military called them jet injectors. Since World War I, they had been used to vaccinate soldiers quickly and easily. There was no needle. The burst of air was so strong it drilled through the skin with nothing more than a disposable air cartridge and the one-time use red nozzle that looked like a thimble with a tiny hole. All you'd feel was a snap of a rubber band and the vaccine was in your blood. For Ellis, it was a bit overdramatic, but if he was to find the book that had been taken from him, that had been taken from his family, he knew every war had rules. His great-grandfather had left him this gun, or the plans for this gun at least, for a reason. It took some time and patience to build it from scratch. Ellis had plenty of both. 40, 39, 38. Ellis began to count, peeking under the wrist of his starched shirt and checking his new Ulysses Martin watch. Wait, the shot what you put in me, Sal screamed, gripping the side of his neck. 37, 36, 35. Ellis said his voice as serene as ever. My family first encountered it in Belgium. Conium, Petaculum, hemlock. You put hemlock, you put a poison. Are you a fool? Now you get nothing. Sal yelled, fighting hard as he thrashed and crawled to the door. In a way, Sal was right. Shooting him was a gamble, but Ellis knew it's not a gamble when you know you'll win. After unscrewing the empty hemlock vial, he replaced it with a vial filled with cloudy yellow liquid. It is that the antidote, Sal asked. It is, isn't it? Ellis stepped back away from his victim's reach. Do you know who Mitchell Segal is, Sal? What are you talking about? 31, 30, 29, and 1932, a man named Mitchell Segal was shot in the chest and killed. While mourning the death of his father, his young son, Jerry, came up with the idea of a bulletproof man that he nicknamed Superman. Mid-crawl, Sal's feet stopped moving. What'd you do to my legs? Ellis nodded and stood still. To this day, scientists didn't know why hemlock poisoning started in the feet and worked up from there. Such a dumb idea, right, Sal? A bulletproof man. But the only reason Superman was born was because a little boy missed his father. Ellis pointed out, and the best part, the murder's still unsolved. In fact, people are still so excited by Superman, they never stop to ask why Mitchell Segal was killed. Or even to consider that maybe, just maybe, he might have done something that made him the bad guy in the story. 20, 19, 18. I can't feel my legs. Sal sobbed as tears ran down his face. You think I'm the bad guy here, but I'm not. Ellis said, putting away the empty vial, zipping his leather doctor's case, and smoothing the sheets on the edge of the bed. I'm the hero, Sal. You weren't the bad guy. You were the one keeping the book of lives from us, just like Mitchell Segal kept it from us. Please, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. Ellis crouched down next to Sal, who was flat on his belly, barely able to catch his breath. I want my book. Tell me its final destination. I told you, Sal stuttered. It's going to Panama. And then where? That's it, Panama. He repeated, his nose pressed to the carpet, his eyes clenched in pain. Just the antidote. You feel that tightening in your waist, Ellis asked, looking down and realizing that his shoes could use a new shine. Your thighs are dead, Sal, the natural climb to your testicles. Hemlock is what killed Socrates. He narrated his entire death, how it slithered from his waist to his chest, right up to when his eyes were fixed and dilated. Okay. Miami. After Panama, it's going to Miami, in Florida, Sal insisted. The sheet, the Latin bill. I swear, it's in my pocket. Just make it stop. Ellis reached in his house pocket and extracted the sheet of light pink paper that held all the details of the shipment's arrival. 7, 6, 5. The dog began to growl. She could smell death coming. But Ellis ignored the noise, peacefully reading from the bill of lading. The container's new tracking number, the receiver's name. Had to be fake. Everything the leadership needed. 4, 3, 2. Stop flat in his stomach and held his mouth wide. Sal gave the final hollow gasp that sounded like the last bits of water being sucked down drain. Ellis's great-grandfather described the same sound in his diary right after he mentioned there was no antidote for blood poisoning. Sal was nice, even kind when they first met at the doctor's funeral, but the mission was bigger than Sal. And based on what happened in 1900s with Mitchell's account, the mission had enough problem with witnesses. Sal's tongue went limp and his head slumped forward, sending his forehead against the carpet. Ellis didn't notice. He was already on his phone dialing Judge Chalk 6 number. I told you not to call me here, Eddie, answered an older man with a soft, crackling voice. Ellis. I'm called Ellis now. He replied, never losing his composure. He spread out his left hand, admiring the tattoo. It's 5 in the morning here, Ellis. What do you want? Ellis smiled, truly smiled, turning his full attention to the phone. What I want is for you to remember just where you were when I found you, Judge. Your group, your leadership, your dream was old and dead. Is that you pictured in final years? Just another discarded, cobwebbed old man sitting in his cramped Michigan apartment and wondering why his glory days weren't more glorious. You're not even a footnote in history, Judge. Not even an asterisk. But if you want, I can put you back there. Maybe one day you'll be a parentheses. My family has been in the leadership since. Don't embarrass yourself, Judge. Family names don't get you into Harvard anymore. What makes you think they'll get you in here? There was a long pause on the line. I appreciate your helping us with this, Ellis. The judge finally offered, clearing his throat. He added, you're close to finding the book, aren't you? About to get even closer, Ellis said, glancing at the pink bill. I'm plotting and studying the containers, tracking details when it left the port. When it would arrive in Miami, even the truck driver who was responsible for the pickup, Harper Lloyd. Come on, Baroni, he murmured to the dog. He knew it was an odd name, Benoni. But according to the diaries, that was the name of Abel's watchdog, the dog that was eventually given to Kate, and the only witness to the world's first murder. You're in for a treat, girl, he said as he stepped over his house dead body and led the dog out to the hallway. This time of year, the weather is gorgeous in Florida. As the dog ran ahead,